Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for our webinar, Count on CountQwik, Unlocking Inventory Magic. We're really excited to formally introduce you to our newest mobile software solution, CountQwik, developed by the team here at Portable Technology Solutions and powered by Tracer Plus. Today, I have with me two of the masterminds behind CountQwik, Jill Kraebel, one of our mobile solutions architects, and Oscar Icochea, one of our software engineers. They're going to be walking you through a few details about this solution, and then we'll dive into a live demo so you can see how the app works in real time. We will have time at the end of the webinar for a Q&A, so if any questions pop up during the webinar, drop them in the Q&A section, and we will get to as many as possible with the remaining time that we have. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Joe. I hope you all enjoy.
Thank you, Lizzie. Welcome, everyone, to today's webinar. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedules to take a look at our new product here, CountQwik. So I just want to go over today's webinar agenda. So first, we'll talk about what CountQwik is and who it helps. We'll review the two different audit modes that are available within CountQwik, as well as a live demonstration of the product, including the cloud console as well as the mobile device application. And then we'll address any questions and answers at the end of the demonstration. So what is CountQwik? So CountQwik is a simple to use inventory application, or I should say inventory audit application, that features enterprise class barcode scanning and mobile data collection features. So CountQwik enables you to connect or share data with virtually any POS, retail, or inventory system. Or if you're using something as simple as an Excel sheet or some sort of database, CountQwik allows you to export that, or you will be able to export that data from your system, and then CountQwik would allow you to import that into our cloud console, allowing you to use a mobile app to do your counts. One thing CountQwik is it's not a full inventory control system, meaning it's not going to manage your inventory or stock levels. It's strictly used to take your existing data, do a count of it, then send it back to your existing system to do reconciliation to see if you're missing any items. Who does CountQwik help? So CountQwik is designed to help small, medium, or large businesses or multi-site organizations who are looking to use best-in-class barcode technology to complete inventory audits and counts. Two of the apps that are offered within the CountQwik solution are a full inventory scan and a cycle count scan. So the full inventory scan enables you to conduct a full inventory of all items. This is typically performed when operations are not taking place. So this could be when you're closing a store, or it could be at night, so that your inventory doesn't change and you can take a full count of what you currently have. The cycle count's a little bit different and enables you to conduct specific subsections to audit, enabling the counting of either select or high value items. And this can even take place while operations are taking place. So if your store is open or things are happening, you can still count a subsection of items without it affecting your inventory. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right over to our demonstration. So here we're looking at our CountQwik cloud, but the first thing we're going to start off with is installing the CountQwik application to a mobile device. So I have a mobile device connected here using a tool called Visor, so I'm able to remotely control that device. And the first thing we need to do in order to get CountQwik is to go to the Google Play Store on your device. So this is an Android device. Go ahead and search for CountQwik. You'll see it come up as the first result. So I'll go ahead and click that. Then I'll go ahead and click the install to install it to this device. Once it's finished installing, I'll go ahead and click open to launch the application. We're going to want to allow CountQwik to connect to and determine relative position. So we'll just click allow. And the next thing we're presented with is the login screen. So I'm going to click login. So here you would just enter your CountQwik login details. I'm going to choose stay logged in. And you'll see once logged in, here's our two applications of full inventory scan and cycle count scan. So before we can actually start counting things, we have to actually create an audit in the CountQwik cloud. So I'm going to jump back over to that. So you would just navigate to countquik.cloud.ptshome.com, and you'll be brought up with this login screen. I'll go ahead and log in with my demo user. So you'll see once we log into the CountQwik cloud, we'll be brought to a dashboard screen. So this shows you any active logins for this account. You'll see my CountQwik demo device that I just logged into. So that'll give you some details on the logged in devices. You'll also see login history as well as some user login detail. Some other functions of the CountQwik cloud, you have your user screen here. This would allow you to edit the currently logged in user if you wanted to change any details or reset your password. There's an organization page that'll just show the account information. This is read only and just for view purposes. View users, if you are a CountQwik admin for the account, would enable you to add additional users. You'll see here that we have my CountQwik demo user on both a Tracer Plus user and admin user. In order for a user to access the mobile application, they have to be enabled as a Tracer Plus user. In order to do admin tasks in the cloud, they would need to be set as an admin user. Otherwise, you can just leave that unchecked to be able to view for view-only purposes. So the main function of today is going to be our Manage Audit screen. This is where we're going to go ahead and start a new audit and reconcile audits. We also have the View Transactions. This will give you a view of any transactional scans that we've done, and you'll see more on that after our demonstration. And lastly, we have the View Locations, which is where we actually need to start with, because we need to import a list of locations that we can possibly audit or count for. So that's where I'm going to start today's demonstration, and I'm just going to show you a text file I have created here of locations. If I open that up, you'll see it's just a tab delimited text file that lists a main location and a sublocation. So all I need to do is drag this locations file right into this grid, and we'll be prompted with a dialog of import options. So it's asking if it contains any headers. In this case, the file did not. It's asking for our delimiter. In this case, it is tab, but you could select comma or have it auto detect if it's something else. So I'll just set it to auto detect, and we can click proceed. This will give you a little review of how to map the import. So our first column is location, so we're going to set that to location. Our next column is the sublocation, so I'll set that to sublocation. Now I'm going to go ahead and click import. You'll see that import complete, no errors. And once we're finished, you'll see now we have these 4 different locations that we can choose from when we go ahead and create this audit. So that's the next thing we're going to move on to. So if I jump to Manage Audits, we want to go ahead and create a new audit. So I'll click the Start New Audit. It's going to give you an audit ID. This is a read-only unique identifier for the audit taking place. This is not editable. We can give the audit a nickname. So I could say 2024-04-17 count, let's say. So here I can choose my location. This is going to pull from the list of locations I just added. So I'm going to go ahead and select Calverton. And we can select our sublocation, which I have 2 choices. We can choose to count the store floor or the stockroom. I'll choose stockroom. Lastly, we can choose the type of audit. So that's going to apply to those 2 different count modes. So we have the full audit, or we have the cycle count. I'm going to leave it on full audit and click next, add items. So now what you can do is export your file from your POS system or backend database, Excel, whatever it is that contains the data you want to count. In this case, I just have a sample import that I'm going to use that's just in a CSV format. So I'll just show you what this looks like. It's just a file of 5 items with column headers separated by commas. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that into this grid. Once again, similar to the location import, it's going to ask you if you have column headers. Yes. Select our delimiter. I can select comma since I know it. And then remove empty rows. That typically would be left at yes. So I'm going to click proceed. It's going to show you what is in the file. So now we just select the corresponding column headers. So the first row or column of data I know is a UUID, so I'm going to select item UUID. The next one is the item name. The next is UPC. Department is department. Category to category. Price to price, and then quantity would be expected quantity. If you didn't want to map any field, you could choose the do not import option. So I'm going to click import at this point. Once again, import complete, no errors. Now it's going to give you a summary of what you're going to import. At this point, you could further edit the data and remove items. You can also apply a filter to the data to search for something. But once you confirm this is good to go ahead and click done. And that's going to create the audit. So up top, we have our audit header. So that's going to be an audit summary. That's going to have our nickname, the type of audit, our location and sublocation, as well as our status. Once I selected that audit header, it showed the items within the audit below. So under audit items, we have the 5 items and the expected quantities. Currently, they're all shaded in red because they all have discrepancies, as we haven't counted anything yet. So now that we've created the audit on the cloud side, we need to jump back over to our mobile device and start counting. So I'm going to go into our full inventory scan. And the first thing we'll need to do is click this refresh icon next to our drop downs to get our list of locations or possible locations. That's going to sync the data from that locations table that we imported. So our location we're auditing for is Calverton, and our sublocation is Stockroom. Once we do that, we're going to click New Scan because we haven't started a scan yet. That's going to get that audit header as well as the audit items, and now we're ready to do a blind count. 2 different methods, or technically 3 different methods for counting items. So the first one is the auto scan mode. So when I do that, I can just simply scan my UPC and it'll just auto submit with each scan, incrementing that count. So you'll kind of see in that grid as I scan, that count is going up. So that's useful if you do want your employees to scan every UPC versus just entering a quantity to kind of eliminate error. But if you're looking to count a little quicker, you could switch to manual mode. And if I scan that same barcode again, I then get prompted to enter a quantity. So I could key in 20 in this case, click save, and you'll see that count jumped from 5 to 25. So I'll scan some of the other items in this manual mode just to get the counts correct. Scan my third item. We have 8 of these. All right, scan fourth. We'll say we have 6. And let's say your item doesn't have a barcode, or maybe the barcode is not readable because it's damaged. You can jump over to the search item screen This will allow you to search the item's description. So for example, I could search vanilla, click enter. It's going to filter down that list of items. I can select it, click use selected, and now I can just key in the quantity for it. So we'll say 10, and that'll get added. One thing you'll also notice is that as I'm scanning items, the most recently scanned item is at the top of the grid. So you can see what you last scanned. Another thing we can do is if we scan something that did not exist or is not in our system, I'll scan something there. So you'll, excuse me. So you'll see it's prompting to add a comment for a new UPC or click the X. So here I'll just enter new dog toy, click save. Once we're done with the audit, we'll click review scans. So once we're done, we can review what was scanned as well as highlight an item, click delete if it was scanned in error, or click close scan. Sorry about my voice change, I got a little tickle going on. So once that's closed, it'll sync to our CountQwik cloud. If I refresh the audit, we'll see it's now in progress. And if I refresh the audit items, you'll see an actual quantity for some items that we scanned, as well as anything still in a discrepancy highlighted in red. If we only wanted to see items with a variance, we could click this variance only. And you'll see it just shows the items that still have a variance. If I uncheck that, I can see all items again. Now, the next step would be to get this back to your backend system or your POS system, so you can actually click the export button. That exports in a CSV format. If I just slide that over, this is what it looks like, and you can now take that and import it back into your system. I also wanted to note, if you did check variance only, maybe that's all you wanted to export since all the other counts are correct. And as expected, this export will respect that filter. So I could click export. If we open that up, you'll see it has only the 2 items. You can also do your own filter. So if you only wanted to filter items in a certain category or department, so for example, I just want to see treats, I can filter it down to that, click export, it'll respect just those filtered items. So I'll remove the filter. So next step, once you've actually reviewed the data, exported it, is to reconcile it. So you would select that audit in the audit header, then click reconcile selected audit. Click OK to the prompt. It says audit successfully reconciled, and now you'll see that's cleared from the list. So the next thing I want to do is start another new audit, but in this case, I will show you the cycle count. So I'll do 2024 0417 cycle count as my nickname. I'll do the same location, but in this case, I'll choose cycle count. Click next, add items. So this is all going to be The same process to what we did for the full audit as far as, adding items, except that I have a different file I'm going to use. This one only has 2 records because we just want to count these 2 items. And it also has an extra column just to show you how you can ignore certain columns during the import. So once again, select our headers, yes. Delimiter, we'll say auto detect, proceed. Mapping is the same. This is item UID, this is item name, this is UPC, department, category, price, expected quantity, and then cost. I don't need to import this, so I'll say do not import. Click import, click OK. Here's our 2 items. Go ahead and click done. Click on the audit. There's our 2 items we're expecting to count. They're shaded in red due to the variance still. So now if we jump back over to the handheld device, we'll go ahead and click cycle count scan this time. Select our location, select our sublocation of stockroom, click new scan. And you'll see how this differs from the full inventory count. In that cycle count, you're actually scanning against an expected list of select items. So essentially you could say to an employee, hand them a device, say, here, I need you to count these 2 items, go out into the store or the stock room and scan everything you see for these. So what they would do is click on the item that they're counting for. So I'll click that first item. It's going to show you a detailed description. Once again, this also has the same auto count and manual count options. So if I leave it on auto count, I'll just scan that item. You'll see it start to increment. I can switch over to manual, scan that same item, enter, let's say 15. Now we're up to 20. If I scan a different UPC, it'll tell the user invalid UPC scan for the selected item. So it's expecting you to scan the item that you have selected. So I'll just scan 5 more of those. And when you're done with a particular item, you would click item finished. It'll give you a prompt. You'll click yes, and you'll see that that gets removed from the list. So the employee can see that once there's nothing on this list, they've completed the count of the items that were requested. So I'll select the next item. I'll scan it. Enter a quantity of 20, click save. You'll see quantity 20. I'll click item finished, click yes. Then once we have no items in the list, I'll click that review button. This is going to give you a summary of what you've counted. So if you made a mistake and saw, oh, I missed some, you can go back, select an item, click add to item. This will reopen it back for counting. So I could then scan it again. I'll just say we counted an extra 21, click item finished, go back to review, and now that's 21. Let's say the user needed to close out of the app, or they took a break, they closed the app, they could come back in. In this case, since there was a count in progress, it's automatically pulling in that location, and then they can just click continue scan and proceed to scan as if they were still counting. So we'll jump back to review. I'll go ahead and click the close count. You'll get a prompt to make sure, are you sure? I'll click yes. You'll see that completed, closes out the app. If we jump back over to the cloud and refresh, we'll see we now have an audit date, status in progress, and we also see that one of the items doesn't have a variance and one does, so the same thing applies. I could view items with just a variance or all items. I can export this to then import into my backend system, or I can go ahead, click here, we'll do a reconcile, and that'll clear everything out. So if you needed to go back and view an already reconciled audit, you can simply just uncheck this active audits only checkbox, and it'll show our previous audits. So you could still come back here, review the results of that audit, as well as still do exports of that particular audit. I also want to show you the view transactions module. So if you wanted to see who did what scans, because you could have multiple people out there doing scans, and the audit items is just going to show you an accumulation of all total scans regardless of the user. But if you wanted to see who counted what, you can go to the view transactions. And if I wanted to filter, I could filter on the audit ID if I'm looking at a specific audit. And then I could see all of these scans for this audit. It's going to give us the details, the item UID, the UPC, the category department, the quantity that was scanned, as well as, who scanned it. So scanned by CountQwik demo, and then the date scanned. So that's where you can use that transactions. These can also be exported if you needed to. I can remove the filter by clicking that X. And if we jump back to manage audits, I also just wanted to show you one more thing. I'm going to create one more audit. We'll just call this one my count. We'll do Montauk, none. So if your location doesn't have a sublocation, you just have to make sure it has a sublocation of none. So we'll select none, we'll do a full audit. I'll import that previous file that I used with the 5 records. We'll go ahead and map our fields real quick. Click import and then done. Jump back over to my handheld. We'll do another full inventory scan. This time it's Montauk, sublocation none, new scan. I'll go ahead and switch it to manual, and let's go ahead and scan some items. We'll do 25 for this one. I'll do 15 for the next. And let's say in that same example where maybe the employee's going on break or they're going to be doing something else for a couple of hours, rather than close out of this and continue, they could also go to review, close. And once that syncs, we'll do a refresh. So you'll see that we've counted the top line. We still have 5 left on the next line, and we haven't counted any of the others. So we can actually come back to that handheld, that same employee, go back into full inventory, act as if they're starting a new scan, Montauk, none, new scan. Because the scan is still open, it's grabbing what I can switch 5. And refresh that, you'll see that it updates this existing audit. So even if you click that close scan, it's not closing the audit on the cloud side, so you can continue scanning for it. And this is how it also handles the use of, if multiple employees were out there with multiple devices counting for the same audit. So that's just going to accumulate all our scans here. And once again, we could come here, reconcile it, click OK. and OK. The last note I will make is you can only have one audit open for a location plus sublocation plus audit type. So for example, if I have something Montauk, none, full audit, I can't do another Montauk, none, full audit until that one's reconciled. Actually, if you do create a new audit, it will automatically reconcile the previous audit for that, I believe. But you can do Montauk, none, cycle counts. You can have two audits that's going at the same time for different types. You can also have two full audits going on or multiple full audits going on at the same time for different locations or sublocations. It's just that if location, sublocation, and audit type are the same, the previous would have to be reconciled before doing the next. All right, so I'm going to bring back our PowerPoint. So that concludes our demonstration of CountQwik. We hope that you all see some use or how you can tie this into your current operations. I'll bring up our contact slide. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach out to us using that info there. Just one note: to purchase CountQwik or to request a free trial, you can reach out to your existing account rep if you have one, or you can contact us at the info above. So I'll pass this over to Lindsay to see if we have any questions.
Sure. Thanks so much, Joe. We do have a couple of questions. So let's get right into those. So is this program available on iOS for iPhones or only Android?
Currently, it's only available for Android, but an iOS version should be coming in the future.
Okay. And then we have another one. Does CountQwik have an option to connect to an inventory API so I don't need to export and import?
So that's a very good question, actually. We do have something coming out in the near future called RIA that's going to allow you to tie this via API into your backend system or database, whatever you have, maybe using on that end.
Okay. Those are the only questions that I saw come in. If anybody has any other questions, definitely drop them in. Otherwise, I'm going to thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to Joe and Oscar for your expertise and your time as well. Definitely keep an eye out in your inbox over the next few days as a recording of this webinar is going to be sent out in case you want to relive the magic or if you missed anything. So that'll be sent out in the next few days. Thanks again for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.